It is a classic example of a multimodality approach towards an outcome of an excellent outcome of a disease or a quality control, you can say. So, and in this, as we are already talking to surgical oncologists and medical oncologists here, the surgical oncologists are the key gatekeepers in referring the patients to radiotherapists. So therefore, among all three of us, we should have a sophisticated understanding about all the evolving clinical trials and the radiotherapy protocols which are changing day to day, about the gray areas or the controversial zones in post-mastectomy radiotherapy. So this is, we all know that something has happened to my browser and it's just not moving. So this is a very well documented diagram of a breast, in which we have shown very clearly about what are the nodal basins of breast cancer and where do they all go to, and what are the things which should be kept in mind when we are going to treat the breast cancer. So as all of you can see that there are three major zones, which are the axillary lymph nodes, the supraclavicular lymph nodes, and the internal mammary lymph nodes. And not to forget about the subcutaneous lymph nodes also, which are present in the skin. So the roadmap which today we'll be taking about in this journey, you and me together, will be that initially we'll be talking about the theoretical rationale of radiotherapy. That will be among our the early slides, and then we'll be talking about I have to just hold on here for some some solution to this problem. Are initially going to cover the theoretical rationale, then early and the more recent trials supporting PMRT, that is the post-mastectomy radiation therapy. Then we are going to see the criticisms of various trials and insights of patient selection. And then we are going to review the evidence available in areas of controversial areas. Now we have to see very carefully what are these controversial areas. For example, the node negative disease, the nodes which are 1 to 3 in number, because till lately we had enough data to support PMRT for nodes more than 4 in number, and likewise. For example, other areas which are controversial are a large bulky lump but which is node negative, and also treatment of reconstructive breast. So these are the controversial areas in which we'll be reviewing evidence, and then breast treatment technique, and then reflection on the directions for future research. So coming initially about rationale for PMRT. Now, as we have seen in the diagram, that the major area of occurring of locoregional recurrences are the post-mastectomy chest wall, as well as the 3 lymph node basal regions, the internal mammary, the axillary, as well as the supraclavicular lymph nodes. And PMRT basically is not going to eradicate just the loco-regional metastatic deposits, but also going to decrease the chances of reducing the distant metastasis, which is going to occur because of seeding or reseeding of the tumor cells from the primary. So effective systemic therapies have been postulated to increase likelihood of disease eradication of disease. Therefore, PMRT becomes all the more important in such kind of cases, as well as normal mastectomy cases, to remove any chances of LRR. Now, what are the recurrence cases, or what is the recurrence risk of of risk occurring from positive axillary nodes or of tumor size? So I'm just going to tell the crux of all the studies, major studies, which we are going to study later on. Actually, this should be the take-home message, which we are going to have it the vice versa manner. And the positive axillary lymph nodes, if they are basically having more than 25% of lymph nodal involvement or extracapsular involvement or extracapsular extension, then 1 to 3 lymph nodes positivity. Till late, as I have told you, we had insufficient data, but now I'm going to tell you how strong we are recommending about PMRT for 1 to 3 lymph nodes. So there is recurrence about 5 to 15% at 10 years. And for more than 4 lymph nodes, we are having a recurrence rate of 15 to 50% at 10 years. And there is something known as ratio of lymph node. That is the ratio of excised lymph node to the malignant lymph node, if you take. If it is more than 0.02%, 0.20%, then the chances of local recurrence would be more than 20%. And tumor size, as it increases more than 5 centimeter, then the chances of loco-regional recurrences increase with the size. So these are few pictures which I have put in my slides showing the loco-regional recurrences, and you can see the loco-regional recurrences occurring through the first is between the supraclavicular field and the tangential fields in the first picture A, and in the B picture you can see in the scar field laterally towards the axilla. You can see these nodules, and these are characteristics which you are definitely going to see in your tenure. And this is kind of a diffuse locoregional recurrence, which is invading the entire surgical field as well as going to the opposite breast too. So what are the features which will obviously tell us, or which will be glaring at us after the histopathological report comes to us, and we can tell that yes, this patient will definitely have increased risk of locoregional recurrence, and this patient will be having a little bit lesser risk of locoregional recurrence as compared to the previous one. So those are grade 3 tumors. Then if there is increased LVSI, then if there are triple negative breast cancer tumors or ERPR negative tumors. So even if ERPR negative plus HER2/neu positive tumor is there, in that case also we will be looking for recurrence in that scenario. Now, where are the recurrences usually found? So more than 50% of the chest wall or the mastectomy scars will yield to locoregional recurrences, like we had seen in the B picture. 20 to 40% will be in the supraclavicular or infraclavicular field, in which the A picture was the evidence for that, and less than 5% will be post level 1 or level 2. Internal memory lymph nodes, about very few clinical recurrences occur, and but yes, they do occur, and we have seen recurrences occurring in internal memory region also. Now, what are the indications of PMRT? See, these are all slides which I'm telling you for take-home messages, but then we'll be going into data very shortly. These are the indications which, if anybody just asks you in the Viva, then at least even if you forget everything rest, which I'm going to tell you about the clinical trials and about all those things, but at least if you remember all these things, then you can just say it out and you will definitely get good marks because you're remembering most of the bulk. So the definitive indications of PMRT, the tumor size should be more than 5 centimeters and 4 or more than 4 axillary nodes metastasis, positive surgical margins, and pectoralis muscle involvement. Now, till this region or till this time, we had debatable 1 to 3 axillary lymph node metastasis PMRT as indication for PMRT, or 2 to 5 centimeter primary tumor. Now, this actually region refers to early breast cancer. So basically they were trying to divide that early breast cancers do not need uh, radiotherapy, and the bigger bulk diseases or the later stages, they basically go for EBRT. So that was kind of discrimination they were trying to do. So the early randomized trials in 1976, something things were brewing up towards this region, that whether PMRT was definitely needed or things would be better off with surgery or with chemo alone. So Southeastern Cancer Group was one of them, and it had 6 to 12 cycles of CMF, and then to one arm they had given radiotherapy, and to the other arm they had not given radiotherapy, and trends were definitely towards decrease in number of locoregional recurrences towards the chemo RT arm. However, there was no difference in the overall survival. Why so? Maybe because the sequencing of treatment was not appropriate, depending upon number of chemo cycles. So these things were quite hazy in those times. In those areas, we did not know whether what kind of chemos were there. Were they effective on triple positive, triple negative tumors? There was no advent of taxanes. And then the sequencing phenomena was not very much considered important. Then in 1972 to 84, a 10-year prospective trial was done by DFCI. And in that, it was seen that the patients with positive axillary lymph nodes, they were divided into chemo alone and chemo RT group. Here, there was a vast difference which was seen in the locoregional recurrences. And I think that is the other way around. The locoregional recurrences were 50% in chemo alone group and 14% in the CTRT group. So it was a very vast difference which could be demonstrated. However, again, coming back to the crux that there was no difference in the overall survival. So again, these are few of the trials about, again, 1976 and 1984, the same region where they had, now they started dividing into the radiotherapy chemo group also. They had 3 arms now: radiotherapy alone, radiotherapy chemotherapy group, and chemotherapy alone. So if they divided all the patients in 3 arms, then they had locoregional recurrences, 12 patients each in only radiotherapy arm, 12 patients in radiotherapy and chemotherapy arm, and 27 patients in only chemotherapy arm. So it was double the number, almost more than double the number in only chemo arm. So we were expecting the chemo radio arm to be much better, but due to some other reasons, again, as I have told you, in 76, we were not, few things about the sequencing and all those things were not clear. So we don't know how they were administering the PM CRT arm, the radio chemo arm. That's why. And so significant difference in disease-related survival in patients with 4 or more axillary lymph nodes. In the only radiotherapy arm was 35%, in the chemo arm was 46%, whereas in the last arm, which was our suggestion beforehand only, was 54%. So somewhere down the line, we were right in depicting the DRS. Not the overall survival, but the DRS we suspected right. Now, what were the drawbacks of these trials? The drawbacks of these trials were that these patients were treated on old machines. Old techniques with large fields, like hockey stick fields. Now, hockey stick field is a field which is a field which is just imagined. I could not get a picture of that. Which is a field which is trying to cover internal mammary nodes, and which is the wide part of the hockey is trying to cover the heart and the lower part of the heart, and again it's turning back to cover the internal mammary. So this part was the hockey stick field. So this led to exposure of large volumes of heart and lung to high doses of radiation. So this all these not so good parts of PMRT was offsetting the advantage. So the good part of PMRT was actually shadowed by the non-breast cancer related morbidities. So then we had the early breast cancer trialist group. They were trying to find an answer to all these situations. And here again, they found out to all these troubles which are happening because of the non-breast cancer morbidities that PMRT was associated with breast cancer cause specific survival. This was found by all the trials which I have mentioned beforehand. However, they also underlined the finding that non-breast cancer events serve to offset this benefit. So we could not do anything but then to change our techniques or to improvise our machinery for uh, treating by radiotherapy. Now, more recent and randomized trials are US Eastern Cooperative Oncology Group. They initiated a trial and they defined the high risk. Now this is, we are going into more subdivisions of high risk. Initially I had told you what the high risk means and what you can say in 3 or 4 lines about high risk, but now this is what actually the high risk has been subdefined as. It is the pathological T4 lesion excluding the T4 disease, T3 lesion with positive nodes, N2 disease, which is defined as METs to ipsilateral lymph nodes fixed to each other or the other structure. Then the earlier stage, which is the fixed, which is always fixed to muscle or some other structures again, it can also be included in the high risk, which is underwent MRM or radical mastectomy, and it has got at least 8 axillary lymph nodes removed. 6 cycles were given to each of them, and then 9% tilt towards no RT arm was seen. That the CMF and PMRT was definitely superior to CMF alone. This widely came to be known as this trial, which I am highlighting now. This and the other trial, which I'm going to tell you, the Danish 82B and the Danish 82C trial, they form the basis of the majority of guidelines which we are following today. So they are considered to be the landmark trials. If you don't remember anything, just try to remember these. The Danish 82B trial was tested on all the pre-menopausal early breast cancer ladies. And here they had the early breast cancers, they had 1 to 3 lymph nodes or maybe more than 1 to 3 lymph nodes. And to one arm, we had given CMF and post-mastectomy radiotherapy, and to the other arm, CMF had been given. And so disease-free survival as well as overall survival was seen. So in disease-free survival, you can see about 9% of difference. Whereas in overall survival, again, that same 9% or 11% or 9% of difference was seen. Whereas here it was about 12 or 13% in disease-free survival. So you could see that in CMF and PMRT, definitely that survival was seen here, and the advantage was in the CMF and PMRT arm. This was the 82B trial, which I have tried to simplify here. The high risk was, again, I have mentioned, and the loco-regional control was 9% in the chemo-RT, whereas loco-regional was 32% in the chemo alone. And overall survival, chemo-RT was 54%, whereas 45% in the chemo alone. So 82B, again, they found few features which were directly correlating with radiotherapy, like the primary tumor size, the number of involved nodes, the grade, the age, and use of RT, and all were significant independent predictors. So any effect on RT or any effect of these uh, would be having an effect on the RT and the outcome. So you have to be very clear that 82B, you will see the contrast in 82C also. So 82B was this: primary tumor size, number of involved nodes, grade, age, and use of RT. Mainly the pathological factors came out. It was an early tumor on premenopausal ladies. So now we come to 82C. 82C was postmenopausal. There it was premenopausal. Here also it was early breast cancer. There also it was early breast cancer. Node size was normal, 1 to 3 nodes plus. Not it was not less than 1 to 3 lymph nodes. Then the chemotherapy here was tamoxifen and PMRT, and on the other arm it was tamoxifen alone. So what do we see here? We see here that the locoregional recurrence in the arm which was having tamoxifen and RT, the locoregional recurrence was only 8%, whereas in tamoxifen only it rose to 35%. And the overall survival was 45% in PMRT and tamoxifen and 36% in tamoxifen only. So in the overall survival part, somehow the game changed. So this thing have to be kept in mind, that why it changed in the overall survival. I think we went a lot ahead. To go right. See, interaction between radiotherapy and other variables was present. In before each variable was having its was correlating separately with radiotherapy, and here there was all the other variables and radiotherapy were interacting among themselves. Different effect of radiotherapy depending upon number of nodes removed. Survival benefit limited to only first 4 years. In the first few years after surgery, the beneficial effect of RT present with nodes less than 3, but with longer follow-up, the effect weaned off. Another landmark study was in 2005 by Early Breast Cancer Trialist Collaborative Group. It was a meta-analysis having about more than 8,000 patients, and all the patients underwent mastectomy and axillary clearance, and for node positive disease, and they were enrolled for PMRT or no PMRT. And 5-year regional recurrence was seen in 5.8%, and no PMRT group 22.8%. And 15-year mortality risk was seen in 54.7%, and in the other group it was 60.1%. So if you take out the statistics, you will feel the crux was taken out to be that for every 4 local recurrences you prevent, you basically try to avoid 1 cancer mortality at 15 years. You have to think about this line when you are trying to treat patients by PMRT and you are keeping this objective of preventing locoregional recurrences. Just try to think that you are going to prevent 1 cancer mortality at the end of 15 years. The next major trial in this, which deals with the same lineage, is the British Columbia trial. It was also set for premenopausal women and for 1 to 3 nodes or more than 3 nodes, and usually for the early breast disease. And it showed that the same finding, it was divided into CMF and PMRT and CMF. And it showed that the the radiotherapy and chemotherapy always had the upper edge in survival as well as disease-free survival. Now, limitations of these studies. As you can very clearly see in this table, that most of the tumors were early stage. And in early stage also, T1 was there was a number gap between T1 and T2 tumors. This paper was taken out by Rech et al. JCO 99. And this is the complete list of the concerns which were raised from these studies, that systemic therapies were not advanced. Advent of anthracyclines and aromatase inhibitors and their longer administration would decrease chances of local regional recurrences, definitely. Very primitive form of chemotherapies were used. Inadequacies in surgical management at the time of trial. Nodes removed were about 7 in both 82B and 82C, which is not enough. Many patients in 82B had less than 3 lymph nodes removed. If you remember, I had mentioned that 1 to 3 lymph nodes were removed. So it could have been 2 or could have been 1. That's why they were given, showing more chances of recurrence or loco-regional recurrences. We don't know. These patients might well have been categorized as having more lymph nodes because the surgeon had not taken out more than 3 lymph nodes. It doesn't mean that the axilla was devoid of more than 3 lymph nodes. Maybe the surgeon has not taken out. And that's why this line that these patients might well have been categorized as having more lymph nodes, and they could have validify for standard and complete level 1 and 2 axillary lymph node dissections. And so maybe they could have reached for a much better survival. And that's why we were not finding any kind of difference in the overall survival or the disease-free survivals initially because of this point. Furthermore, if inadequate number of lymph nodes were removed, residual disease in axilla might have necessitated RT in a way that might not be the case when a more complete and extensive level 1 or 2 is performed. So even this is the other way to see the picture, that if a complete surgery would have been done of the axilla, suppose 22 lymph nodes would have been removed, then there would not have been any need even to give the PMRT. So the last 2 points are just in contrast with each other. So again, this is the multi-institutional studies, and you can see in the Danish trial 82B, 82C, the Canadian study, the ECOG, MDA, International Breast Cancer Study Groups, premenopausal, postmenopausal, NSA-BPs, that the number of 1 to 3 lymph nodes were so high, almost equivalent or not equivalent, or more than half to as compared to more than 4 lymph nodes. So you could see how much the results were, misinterpreted in some way or the other, as we have studied in the previous slide. So what do the radiation oncologists have to say about this controversy? That if 1 to 3 lymph, now actually we have touched the another facet of our talk, that is, what do we say about post-mastectomy radiotherapy when 1 to 3 lymph nodes are involved? So what do we do in our daily practice? There was an inter-departmental survey done all over the world, and I think it came out to be as that there was modest majority, 61.7% endorse PMRT for 1 to 3 lymph nodes when it is involved without ECE. However, it rose to 85.2%, and they recommend radiation if ECE is positive. Question is what we do in our departments if we find the same picture. We should not be going customized. We should not be going by what is followed where, but ideally we should have a backup of proper evidence, and we should have our own SOPs in our departments. And I think if our theory as well as practical what we are doing and a follow-up of the patients to tell us that what do we do and how it comes out to be, what do we face as the outcome is proper, then I think we are doing the right job. Panels concluded that the evidence to support PMRT was only strong enough to sustain a recommendation where only more than 4 or 4 lymph nodes were involved. but they could not say that what should be done when there are less than 4 involved or 3 involved. So ASCO came front and it formed the guidelines. The recommendation of ASCO was highest breast cancer. Highest risk was defined by at least again 4 metastatic lymph nodes. So it also tried to overshadow the power or the strength of 1 to 3 lymph nodes. Operable stage 3 tumor, net benefits in T1 to T2 and 1 to 3 was insufficient. Now we start coming on to what were the positive results for 1 to 3 nodes regarding PMRT. Now we see some studies which are going to aim at the positive side where 1 to 3 lymph node mastectomies should be treated with PMRT. First one was 2007 British Columbia and MD Anderson cancer study. That role of nodal ratios, where we have said already, which we have mentioned, that should be taken into account of those 3 lymph nodes also, and that might form an inter-observer that will try to remove the inter-observer variation and the interdepartmental the kind of controversies, and will lead to a standard protocol. Then 2007 Danish cancer study group reanalysis was done, and in those patients where 8 or more axillary lymph nodes were removed, there it was seen that whether outcome was same or not. And there it was seen that the same absolute magnitude, 9% in patients with 1 to 3 lymph nodes involved as among patients with 4 or more lymph nodes involved was seen. The survival benefit was absolutely the same. However, LRR, that is the loco-regional recurrence, was low in former group, which was quite expected because there we were dealing with the early disease. The most recent guidelines also say that it should be strongly considered in PMRT to treat lymph nodes less than 4. Applying the trial data in node negative disease too. The Danish and Canadian trials, 82 and 82B and 82C. Now this is another facet which we will see, that where the node is negative. Now node negative disease can occur when the patient is presenting with a large primary that is more than 5 centimeter, or could be a kind of involvement of skin or the underlying pectoral fascia, but node is negative. So in those cases, what do you do? In those cases, it was seen in 82B and 82C. I have sorted a comparative study side by side. The loco-regional recurrence was seen in both 82B and 82C, chemo-RT and radiotherapy and tamoxifen. The loco-regional recurrence was good, 3% and 6% in both the RT arms, whereas it rose to 17% and 23% in the chemo and TAM alone arms. The 10-year disease-free survival was 62% in chemo RT arms. However, in RT TAM arm was only 43%. Then in chemo alone arm, it was 74%, which was better than chemo RT arm, where there was hardly any difference between RT TAM and TAM alone arm. Then the 10-year overall survival was 82% in chemo RT arm and 70% in chemo alone arm, and 56 and 55% in the RT TAM and TAM alone arm. So there was hardly any difference between radiotherapy and tamoxifen arm in the 10-year disease-free survival and the overall survival. However, it had a major difference in the radiotherapy and chemotherapy arm. Now, actually, after the 82B and 83 trials came, 82B and 82C trials came, the 83B and 83C trials also came. I hope I'm not got you confused. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
I hope I'm not getting you confused with the trials.
No, no.
Okay. So in the subgroup analysis, only select arms with number of nodes are removed were 8 or more. I think I'll skip this. I'll just show you the diagrams. Maybe it will be more interesting. So loco-regional recurrence and median follow-up. And this was the Danish trial 83B and 83C arm. This was further subgroups of 82B and 82C. Now we are going to have 1 to 3 lymph nodes only, and we are going to see loco-regional recurrence and median follow-up. This was between the 1 to 3. Although we have seen that there is a 9% overall survival, we had seen initially also. There is a 9% survival in both arms, that is more than 4 nodes and less than 4 nodes. Overall survival was seen with radiotherapy. Here also it said the same thing. Overall survival was 9%, but there was 23% in the risking of loco-regional recurrences from 27 to 4%. If we give radiotherapy in 1 to 3, and that is what actually the question was, which we are searching, whether we should give radiotherapy or not. So yes, we should give radiotherapy even in 1 to 3 lymph nodes. That is how we can always say that based on our studies of Danish trial 83B and C, we can give, it forms a standard protocol for giving radiotherapy in 1 to 3 nodes also. And this is the loco-regional recurrence of 4 more lymph nodes. That is, we are trying to compare 1 to 3 and 4 lymph nodes. So 9% was overall survival, which was seen was same in both 1 to 3 and more than 4 lymph nodes. However, the loco-regional recurrence, it was 23 in 1 to 3 and 41% in 4 plus lymph nodes. So now, this is an ideal CA breast right side, and larger proportion of patients will have survival benefit with radiotherapy. 23% likewise we had said in, what is 23% improvement? Anybody? What did we say 23% improvement?
In the
loco-regional control of 1 to 3 lymph nodes. So now you can see in this diagram that if you give local radiotherapy, so 1 to 3 lymph nodes are positive in this case, okay, and there is overall survival gain of 9% only. So just remember this picture, that there are 1 to 3 lymph nodes, and what happens if you give local RT and what happens if you don't give. So now, and this is the area where high local control is needed and there is no overall survival, 4 or more than 4 positive lymph nodes. But systemic treatment is going to take care of the distant survival. Overall survival is as such not going to be beneficial in both the cases, 1 to 3 lymph nodes also and 4 to 9 lymph nodes also. It has been shown by Danish 83B and C that your chemotherapy or this thing is 1 to 3 and 4 to 9 lymph nodes are not going to have any benefit in the overall survival. That will be taken care by the chemotherapy. So now here in both the pictures, local control in both the pictures have to be taken care by radiotherapy. In the previous picture, there was 23% improvement in local control, and in this picture, there is 41% improvement in local control. Getting my point? So this is how I'm trying to explain to you the crux of all the trials which we have tried to study. That at least tomorrow, if somebody asks you that what will you do in 1 to 3 lymph node, if there's a case, so at least you'll be able to answer that yes, we'll give PMRT. Okay. This is a hypothetical benefit of local tumor control, survival with increasing metastatic risk. So at the topmost point where patients with 1 to 3 lymph nodes are there, Definitely, exactly. There's a shoulder. You can appreciate the shoulder in the red line, and from there, if you drop a perpendicular down on the baseline, obviously till that time you will calculate from 0 to that point. On the x-axis, you're going to calculate the risk. So the risk, the metastatic risk will be very low in 1 to 3 positive nodes. But the benefit of local therapy on survival will be high. Okay, getting my point? So it's opposite. Benefit of local therapy on survival will be high for 1 to 3 lymph nodes, and increasing metastatic risk would be low because your local therapy has been given at the right time. But in the other scenario, patients with 4 and more lymph nodes, the benefit of local therapy is less as compared to increasing metastatic risk of primary tumor. This is a very nice diagram which is given in NEJM 2007. You can take a screenshot of this and you can try to think about it, that how beautifully it has been shown. So again, this has been explained in some other way. So decisions regarding node negative disease. We were talking about 1 to 3, and then we touched down a little bit about node negative disease. What are the diseases about, what are the harms of large primary with node negative, or involvement of fascia and all those things. So these are the risk factors: young age, large tumor size, closed or involved margin, presence of LVI, and omission of systemic therapy, or a high nuclear grade. So International Breast Cancer Collaborative Study Group in 2005, they found out that the rate of locoregional recurrence was very low in these kind of patients where node was negative. However, there was a substantial increase in the risk in one subgroup where the lymphovascular invasion was high and the tumor size was more than 2 centimeters. Now, initially we were saying that it has to be a large tumor size, more than 5 centimeters, to basically come into this group. And now here saying that tumor size should be more than 2 centimeters. Basically, the moment it becomes more than 1 centimeter cube, it increases it has its vasogenic potential increases of that tumor. So vascular invasion in postmenopausal, this we are talking about in the postmenopausal setup. In postmenopausal women, LVI increases, tumor size, the vasogenic potential increases. In those cases, in those node negative cases, they should be taken for PMRT. So this thing should be clearly taken up, that in premenopausal, the idea of treatment in subgroups are different, and in postmenopausal, the idea of subgroups of treatment are different. Then there was the Massachusetts General Hospital 2005 study. Again, they said the same things about premenopausal, and then they said about something about margin. Rest, all the factors were same, but then they came to the margin status, which was not there in the previous one. So margin, if it is less than 2 centimeter, or in other words, if it's a close margin, then you would go for definitely a PMRT. Particular attention was given to positive margin. This was a study by P.T. Truong published in Red Journal 2004. And trends for higher risk of locoregional recurrences were observed in absence of RT, where age was less than 50 years. That means a young patient. 20% versus 0%. T2 size tumors, 19% versus 6.9%. High grade disease, 23% versus 6%. And LVI positive, 16% versus 9%. If the patient was more than 50 years, if the tumor was T3 or above, if it was a low grade tumor, or if LVI was absent, then it was 0% locoregional recurrences. Just imagine. So they said it was judicious but not a routine use of PMRT in node negative disease. So in this case, we do still tend to customize our patients accordingly in node negative disease. But yes, these features in premenopausal and postmenopausal ladies should be kept in mind. Now, PMRT in DCIS. DCIS is a very interesting topic in itself, and it is, as a whole topic, it's a large, it has a large literature, and it's another topic in itself actually. So we are all familiar with the modified Van Nuys prognostic index. So if you want to consider for loco-regional recurrences in DCIS and consider for radiotherapy, then you should be considering for these 4 features in DCIS, that is the size, group means on histopathology, what are the findings, the margins, and the age. And then accordingly, you should be grouping them into 1, 2, and 3. Whatever total score you get, that is 4 to 6, 7 to 9, or 10 to 12, then you should be dividing it accordingly, like lumpectomy alone, lumpectomy and radiotherapy, or mastectomy. So that was with the last slide in part 1, and I plan to cover the interactions and with the breast reconstruction and the breast radiotherapy techniques in my second lecture. And I also plan to take a small MCQ test also, depending upon the first and the second chapter, whoever has attended this lecture. And thanks for your patient listening. And in case of any queries, just I have written my mail ID. You can just mail it to me anytime. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If there are any questions right now.
Ma'am, the studies that you mentioned, so they only talk about the RT to the chest and not for the nodes?
They are talking about RT to the chest as well as the nodal basins, all the 3 nodal areas. That is the supraclavicular, axillary, and the internal mammary. In very few papers, they are including internal mammaries. Otherwise, it's not done.
Okay. Ma'am, there are questions in the chat box. You can take that.
Recurrence TNBC or ER/PR negative, HER2/neu positive. See, it's a tricky question. What I have studied is anything which is hormone positive will tend to lead the loco-regional recurrence down. So ER/PR HER2/neu down, I mean HER2/neu negative, would actually be little bit more favorable because HER2/neu is negative, as compared to HER2 ER/PR negative, which is again non-favorable, as well as HER2/neu overexpression, which is again non-favorable. Okay, Lakshmi? I think so. I'm a little bit clear.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Thank you. Anybody else?
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
It was a wonderful session. So we can continue in the next class.
Yeah, I'll let you know the time and then we can conclude the